War Machine was sentenced today to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 36 years.
In the world of mixed martial arts, fighters step into the octagon with dreams of championship gold, million-dollar contracts, and immortal legacy. They train their bodies to perfection, sacrifice everything for victory, and chase the roar of the crowd under the bright lights of the UFC. But for some fighters, the discipline that made them champions inside the cage couldn't save them from the demons outside of it. Their stories serve as haunting reminders that fame, strength, and success mean nothing when darkness takes hold. These are the fighters who traded the octagon for a prison cell. This is their fall from grace. Lee "Lightning" Murray was electric inside the cage. Born in 1977, he burst onto the MMA scene with raw talent and devastating knockout power. In 2004, he stepped into the UFC and submitted Jorge Rivera in the first round, announcing himself as a future contender. But Murray's life outside the cage was spiraling into chaos. In 2005, a nightclub stabbing in London nearly ended his life and forced him away from fighting. The injuries were severe, the recovery long. And somewhere in that darkness, Murray made a choice that would define him forever.
Yeah, Lee Murray is one of the most legit gangsters of all time.
Tell you what, Cheese, if he wants to fight me here, I'll fight anybody. I don't care who they are, what they've done, how many men they've knocked out. I couldn't give a shit.
And he would step into any scenario without any fear.
Lee Murray was that crazy English hoodlum. UFC fighter Lee Murray, who robbed a bank for $90 million, was fighting in the UFC while he was a full-on criminal. I love that shit.
In 2006, he masterminded one of the most audacious heists in history, the Securitas Depot robbery in Kent. $53 million in cash.
Lee Murray was a big draw. You know, he had a big following, maybe from his street background, but he was a leader. He was a born leader. So as soon as it was Lee Murray was fighting, the venue was packed out. It was a sellout. It was dynamite. You know, Lightning Lee Murray was his nickname. And it was. Every time he stepped into that cage, it was going to be lightning going on. When Lee used to come to our shows, people say, is he the same in the cage or outside the cage? You know, I've seen him in front of a bouncer like that saying, who are you looking at? Who are you looking at? You know, he wasn't scared of no man. And that's the thing with Lee. Lee was everything outside as he wanted inside.
Cain Velasquez was a monster inside the octagon. A two-time UFC heavyweight champion with relentless pressure, elite wrestling, and a cardio engine that broke opponents. His knockout of Brock Lesnar at UFC 121 remains one of the sport's most iconic moments. He defended his title with pride, fought legendary wars with Junior Dos Santos, and cemented himself as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But injuries took their toll. His body betrayed him. His final fight in 2019 ended in a devastating knockout loss to Francis Ngannou.
I maintain that Cain is the most intimidating figure in the heavyweight division.
What Cain brings to the table is some freak cardio and perfect technique. He's so unusual in his cardio. How he executes punches, kicks, takedowns, everything is perfect. There's no wind-up. Nothing has extra horsepower behind it. Everything's precise. He's one of my favorite all-time guys to watch because of that.
After retirement, Velasquez moved into professional wrestling. Life seemed to be moving forward, but in March 2022, everything changed. His young son had allegedly been molested by Harry Goulart Jr. Rage consumed him. Velasquez tracked the man down, chased him in a high-speed pursuit, and opened fire. But his bullets didn't hit Goulart. They struck Goulart's father instead. The court denied bail. Despite public support from Dana White and Khabib Nurmagomedov, the law showed no mercy. In March 2025, Cain Velasquez was sentenced to 5 years in prison and 4 years of probation.
He's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, in his prime, maybe the best. He found out that his son had been molested by a daycare worker, and he went after that guy and drove his car in a rage and shot a gun at him. And they arrested him, they kept him in jail for a long time. They finally let him out on bond, and now he's coaching at AKA, and I don't know what the status of his case is.
A champion's career ended. A father's desperation, punished. A legend, now behind bars. Jonathan Koppenhaver fought under the name War Machine, and for a time, it seemed fitting. Explosive, aggressive, and dangerous, he debuted in the UFC in 2007 with a knockout that earned Fight of the Night honors. But the same rage that fueled his fighting became his curse. Erratic behavior, violent outbursts, and disturbing social media posts led to his release from the UFC. His reputation crumbled, and in 2014, he committed an act so horrific it would haunt the MMA world forever.
The other day, I just did a camera crew from Toronto came down. They're doing a thing called Dark Side of the Cage, and they want to interview me about War Machine. And they came out, and I did a thing for that, and it just depressed me.
He broke into the home of his ex-girlfriend, adult film actress Christy Mack, and her boyfriend Corey Thomas. What followed was a brutal, savage assault. Mack testified that he beat her for hours, leaving her with 18 broken bones, a fractured rib, a ruptured liver, and permanent damage to her face. She lost vision in one eye. She can no longer chew properly. Koppenhaver fled, but authorities tracked him down. In 2017, he was convicted on 29 felony counts, including assault and kidnapping. His sentence? Life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 36 years. From behind bars, he attempted suicide, consumed by guilt and self-hatred. War Machine destroyed not only his victims, but himself.
Well, the former MMA fighter sentenced to life in prison for assaulting his girlfriend has apparently found love. TMZ is reporting that War Machine is now engaged to his pen pal, 30-year-old Ashley Farrington. Right now, you're looking at a picture here of the couple. Now, they can have a wedding ceremony inside the Ely State Prison where War Machine is serving his time, but they are only allowed to hug. Nevada does not allow conjugal visits. War Machine has a chance of parole in 35 years.
Jared Wyatt, a powerful and aggressive MMA fighter, stood naked and drenched in blood. On a couch nearby lay his sparring partner, 21-year-old Taylor Powell. His chest was split open. His heart and tongue had been removed while he was still alive. Investigators later found Powell's heart burned inside a wood stove. Wyatt confessed immediately. He admitted to killing Powell and mutilating his body. Witnesses revealed that both men had consumed hallucinogenic mushrooms earlier that night. Under the influence, Wyatt believed he was in a spiritual battle between God and the devil, convinced that Powell was possessed by evil. He was charged with murder, mayhem, and torture. After psychiatric evaluations found him competent to stand trial, Wyatt accepted a plea deal and admitted to first-degree murder with mayhem. His sentence, 50 years to life. He will not be eligible for parole until at least 2062. Jared Wyatt's story is one of the most horrifying in MMA history. A young fighter with potential, destroyed by drugs and delusion. A life taken in the most brutal way imaginable. A future erased. Livia Renata Souza was one of Brazil's brightest stars in women's MMA. A former Invicta strawweight champion, she dominated opponents with skill and precision. Her UFC debut in 2018 was impressive, a first-round submission of Alex Chambers. But injuries and losses began to pile up. By October 2021, after a unanimous decision loss to Randa Marcos, the UFC released her. Her fighting career seemed over, but her fall from grace was just beginning. 4th, 2025, Brazilian police arrested Souza at her home. The charges: drug trafficking and illegal firearm possession. Authorities executed a search warrant after an anonymous tip and discovered a .380 pistol, 59 bullets, narcotics, and steroids inside her residence. Today, Livia Souza sits in a Brazilian jail, her promising career reduced to nothing, her choices irreversible.
Hamasaki might be done. Souza firing away.
Oh my
Punches.
goodness.
Hamasaki. It is done. Livia Renata Souza shuts up the Scottish right temple.
Oh my goodness. Is she out? She's unconscious.
She's unconscious. Livia Renata Souza.
Yeah.
But I try to control myself, you know. This like, okay, because I know everything, this what come to me, this is from God, you know.
Okay, nice to meet you. My name is Conor McGregor. I'm very hungry. Send me location. Please. Assalamu alaikum. That was his name before, wasn't it? Just tell me where.
Number one.
This is no joke.
Where are you at, boy?
Khabib Nurmagomedov, nicknamed the Eagle, We're talking about his wealth, his career wins, and stupidly things that he owns. And even UFC boss Dana White reveals about it. And his longtime rival Conor McGregor said Khabib Nurmagomedov is a scammer to seeing his wealth and power of fans.
Like fame and money show who you are. You know, all the time we hear about like money and the fame change people. No, when money and fame come, these two things show who you are.
Khabib Nurmagomedov is one of the rare athletes whose story sounds like a legend even while he's still alive. A fighter who came from the remote mountains of Dagestan, trained in brutal conditions, disciplined by a father whose philosophy created an army of champions, and a man who retired undefeated without a single scratch on his legacy. Today, we're not just talking about his dominance inside the Octagon. We're diving deep into his wealth, the wild things he owns, the secrets Dana White revealed, and why Conor McGregor continues to accuse him of being a scammer even after retirement. This is the true story of the Eagle.
Slow with it, baby. Come on, baby. Move around, baby. Move around. Move around. Come on. Let's go, champ. Let's go, boy. Kick some ass. Go, boys. All right, fellas. Kick some ass. Let's go.
To understand the scale of Khabib's rise, you have to go back to his childhood. Born in 1988 in a tiny mountainous village, Khabib grew up in an environment that forged warriors, not athletes. His father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, was a former soldier and one of the most respected coaches in Dagestan. Training under him wasn't normal, it was survival. Khabib didn't wrestle other kids. He wrestled bears. He didn't run on a treadmill. He climbed mountains. His life wasn't about becoming famous. It was about becoming unbreakable.
It was just beginning. I remember like when I was 20 years, I have like 5-6-0 in my MMA record. And I was thinking about, when I watch UFC, I see like they have a lot of people with bad records. And I was like, okay, I have 5-0. Why I cannot compete in UFC? And at that time, my dream pushed me, you know. And right now I'm here. You know, it's like after 12, 13 years, I'm already finished with my career. You know, time goes very fast.
By the time he entered the UFC in 2012, he already had a perfect record. But the world didn't know what was coming. Khabib introduced a style that looked simple, but felt impossible to stop. His grappling was like a vice. Once he grabbed you, the fight wasn't yours anymore. He ragdolled elite athletes, champions, and knockout artists like they were amateurs. From Rafael dos Anjos to Edson Barboza, from Dustin Poirier to Justin Gaethje, every single opponent suffered the same suffocating fate. And of course, there was his most famous victory, Conor McGregor, a rivalry so personal it shook the MMA world. Khabib retired with a record of 29 wins and 0 losses, one of the most flawless careers in combat sports history. Not a single opponent beat him. Not a single judge's controversy. Not a single rematch was needed. A clean sweep of an entire division. That alone made him a legend. But what came after retirement turned him into something even bigger. Because once Khabib left the cage, his wealth exploded. Today, Khabib is one of the richest athletes to come out of the MMA world, and it didn't happen by accident. After retiring in 2020 at the peak of his fame, he shifted from fighter to global businessman. Sponsorship deals from the Middle East, cryptocurrency companies, sports brands, tourism authorities, everyone wanted the undefeated champion as their face. His business empire spans gyms, fitness academies, cryptocurrency investments, and even his own MMA promotion, Eagle FC, backed by wealthy partners from Russia and Dubai. Khabib's net worth is often estimated in the tens of millions, but insiders believe the real number is far higher because of undisclosed private investments. And what he owns, that's where things get interesting. Khabib, despite his humble lifestyle, actually has access to luxuries that would surprise even his biggest fans. Private charter jets, high-end villas in Dubai, multiple real estate properties, a garage filled with luxury SUVs, and watches that cost more than some fighters' yearly salaries. Although he rarely flaunts it publicly, those close to him say Khabib enjoys traveling in private aircraft because of the intense global attention he receives. He has also partnered with massive brands in the UAE, allowing him access to private resorts, estates, and exclusive events that only billionaires are invited to. And this is where Dana White enters the story. Dana has repeatedly said that Khabib is one of the biggest international stars the UFC has ever had. Behind closed doors, Dana revealed that Khabib turned down a $100 million offer to come back for one more fight, an amount no UFC fighter had ever been offered. Dana admitted that the UFC was willing to break records just to get Khabib versus GSP, or a McGregor rematch. But Khabib walked away, not because of the money, but because he promised his mother he would retire after his father passed away. Dana also revealed that Khabib's fan base is so massive and so loyal that his presence alone boosts UFC business in the Middle East. In simple terms, the UFC needed Khabib more than Khabib needed the UFC. But while the world respected his decision, one man didn't. Conor McGregor. The rivalry between Khabib and Conor never ended. Even after retirement, Conor kept attacking him. This time not about fighting, but about money. After seeing Khabib become one of the richest and most influential figures in combat sports, Conor went online claiming that Khabib was a scammer, accusing him of playing humble publicly while building a giant business empire privately. According to Conor, Khabib pretends to be poor and simple, but is actually operating like a billionaire businessman behind the scenes. Fans reacted in two ways. Some laughed, saying Conor was jealous because Khabib retired undefeated and ended their rivalry forever. Others believed Conor's words were just another attempt to stay relevant, because deep down, Conor knows the truth. Khabib's power doesn't come from money. It comes from millions of fans who respect him for his discipline, morals, and the way he walked away without ever being defeated. Khabib, as always, didn't respond. That silence is what makes him so powerful. It frustrates his rivals and elevates his legacy. He doesn't need to argue, he doesn't need to clap back. His record, his character, and his impact do the talking. Today, Khabib influences more fighters than ever. He coaches champions like Islam Makhachev. He opens training facilities across the world, and he invests in youth sports to build the next generation of Dagestani warriors. His businesses continue to grow, his fame continues to rise, and his wealth continues to expand. But through it all, Khabib remains the same man he was in the mountains, disciplined, grounded, and true to his beliefs. The eagle may have retired from flying inside the octagon, but outside the cage, he's soaring higher than ever.
During the Leon fight, when he poked it, and literally I couldn't see nothing. I was like, I'm blind.
Relax. We'll breathe and relax and let the doctor take a look, okay?
I can't see anything. Can't see anything.
You waited this long to get a main event. You waited this moment, and it just got taken away from you, and you're like, I'm done fighting. Because fighting is my life for me, and I'm like, this is what I want. This, like, my goal is to be right here at the top, to be a champion.
This main event has been declared a no decision.
Former welterweight champion Belal Muhammad has just broken his silence and sent a serious warning to the UFC and Dana White following his devastating loss at UFC Qatar. What started as a routine post-fight statement has turned into a career-defining moment that could change the landscape of the welterweight division forever. UFC president Dana White has already responded on social media, and trust me, you're going to want to hear what he has to say. This story is developing by the hour, so let's break down everything you need to know.
I'm gonna beat Belal this weekend. I'm gonna knock him out.
But first, I gotta take Ian's head.
This past Saturday night at the ABHA Arena in Doha, Qatar, Belal Muhammad stepped into the octagon for what many believed would be his redemption fight. After losing his welterweight title to Jack Della Maddalena back in May at UFC 315, Muhammad was determined to prove he still belonged at the top of the division.
From shooting, and that's backing him up.
So he doesn't get too far behind.
Oh!
Looked like a good uppercut from Della Maddalena. Showmanship from Della Maddalena. When Muhammad starts missing, and then you see, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love it with a jab. Good right hand for Della Maddalena.
Oh, my God. And I think that,
yeah, it's 88-85 unofficially. It's a big uppercut.
All right, taking some